Shut up and sit down.
Hi, it's iRacing commentator David Haynes. In 2019, I'm excited to be bringing coverage of the ChampCar Sim Series, the sim racing division of the ChampCar Endurance Series. Contested across 15 championship rounds using the 2015 Mazda MX-5, the winners will receive a free entry into a real ChampCar Endurance Series race in the 2020 season. Each points round will be broadcast live by HJBC. Head to forum.champcar.org for full information and schedule. Sign-ups are open, so get registered now. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the track.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome one and all to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, most often known as Mosport Park, for ChampCar Sim Series. Memory serves, this is round 8, and we are qualifying right now. This 1 hour session has about 6 minutes to go, and then we'll kick into the race in the ChampCar Sim Series that will be awarding this season's champion a drive in a 2020 ChampCar Endurance Series race. Competition in this series has been ferocious, to say the least. It's very hotly contested. Points are going to be very close, but a word about that later. I'm David Haynes. Alongside me for tonight's broadcast is going to be Aaron Thacker, and our man with the cameras is going to be Michael Derby. Aaron, this is probably one of the quicker laps of all of the circuits we get to. A lot of fast-flowing corners, but it's not an easy place to race.
No, it is not an easy place to race, David, and typically we don't get into this until earlier on in the race, but it is a brisk 68-degree ambient temperature, and that track temperature is also matching. So what you're seeing right now is probably going to be some of the quickest time. It is that sun continues to drop below the sky, David. We're going to see some very, very quick times, but yeah, these cars, again, under horsepowered, so lots of big sweeping corners, lots of big straightaways here. So yeah, right now, these guys, some of the top groups are doing mid to high 133s. And as you said, that is some of the quickest laps we have seen so far this season.
And the top 2 men at the top of your qualifying order right now are also the top 2 in the points. Alex Albert has 312, John D. Allen with 304. That means they are very, very close to the prize on the line that you can't put an exact dollar value to, but is definitely north of 1,000 US dollars value in that, being a free entry for a car or driver in a real ChampCar Endurance Series race. So both of these guys race ChampCar, and it would be very, very useful to both of them, no doubt.
David, I'm going to ask our producer to hop into John D. Allen, who was just now going around here. Yeah, we saw a great intro lap here, but I do want to talk about some of these sections right here. Again, typically with a high downforce car, this corner is a bit of a handful, but with this car right here, as you watch John Allen do exactly what I was going to talk about, you do not want to clip that right there, David, and you've loaded that right side so heavy right here. I think this corner right here, this is the Quebec corner, corner number 3. I think we're going to see a lot of passing here tonight, and coming down to this 4-5 complex, this is a no pass zone. But David, this is some of the quickest sections of the track right here.
Yeah, certainly down the hill towards Moss, and I get the feeling this lap is not full tilt for John D. Allen, and he puts 2 tires in the dirt, helps the car rotate, but I don't think that helped him put the power down at all. He's looking to try and find a lap time that will put him on pole position if he can. The interesting thing about this circuit is that Mario Andretti straightaway, this back straight, it's the fastest part of the circuit, but the S's that it leads into are not a heavy braking zone, so it's actually not the best overtaking opportunity. Some of the ones you mentioned, and even into turn 1, for example. So as we watch, John D. Allen is clearly lining up to start a flying lap as he comes through what's the last 3 of the corners. Sort of progressively tightens. There's a sweeping right-hander into a tighter left-hander, into this tight right-hander. Just the final corner. John D. Allen gets the power down. He's thinking about what he can do. Set a fast lap, where he's going to find the time. And Aaron, you're exactly right. We're heading deeper into the darkness right now. You're noticing the headlights starting to have more of an effect out there. It's going to be quite dark by the time we get to the end of the race. Still some ambient light out there right now, though.
Yeah, still got a little bit of sunshine. As I mentioned, it is 68 degrees. So I guess up here in Canada, I guess that means it could start snowing at any time during this race. But David, we have a bit of a smaller field tonight. But as we are looking down the timing sheet again, as we're getting about a minute and a half left in the session, Alex Albert, Johnny Allen, Thomas Ellison, again, all these guys are separated by not a whole lot. So I think this is going to be extremely competitive tonight. A bit of a smaller field. But these guys are all going to be quick. 1-hour race, so a pit stop will be needed for some fuel. And pretty much what we've seen every race so far is these guys taking tires. But David, if you recall last race, Alex Albert, big gambler when it came to testing that fuel mileage, and what we saw was even maybe a short fill. But Alex Albert definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to the pit stops and the fuel strategy. I've questioned it before, but he has proved me wrong almost every single race.
Yeah, indeed. Be interesting to see what the fuel consumption is like around here, how far into the race we maybe see some drivers going. Maybe do they decide to pit the halfway point for a new set of tyres? Remains to be seen, but in ChampCar Sim Series, it is fixed setup, and that fixed setup has 4.2 gallons of fuel in it, and that means a pit stop will be required. You are not getting to the end on that. So it's not a fuel limitation that the fuel tank size is restricted. The restriction is how much fuel you start the race with, and everyone starts with exactly the same amount. So if you do run into some problems in the first 10 minutes of the race, it's possible to come into the pit lane then, get your car repaired, and be able to put in enough fuel to get to the end from there. So a bit of flexibility in the pit stop times. Checkered flag is in the air. Time has expired on qualifying, so everyone who's on a lap right now will get to finish it. And John D. Allen pushing so hard into Moss Corner. He's got the number 10 car in front of him. That's Mitchell Peak, who's currently in 3rd in the qualifying. So this will be interesting for John D. Allen. He has Mitchell Peak, I think, pull out of the way for him. It's a shorter lap than some of the others we've been to, like, for example, Road America, means that even with 11 cars, they trip over each other a little bit here in qualifying.
Yes, they do, and that's just a shame. I was watching Thomas Ellison. He was making one final effort as the clock was expiring. David, he just overcooked it just a little bit. Coming out of turn 9 into turn 10, got a little bit loose and just dove straight into the pits, just like we're seeing Michael Peak also do the same. So Thomas Ellison really looking to improve on that 4th position just before the session expired, and he wasn't able to do so. But David, it looks like we are wrapped up here. I don't see any more cars on a track. Alex Albert is still showing on track, and John D. Allen, but I'm showing my timing screen. They're locked in.
Yeah, John D. Allen went faster in that last lap when he crossed the line there, but it wasn't enough. He said his best lap, a 1 minute 33.6, brought him closer to Alex Albert, but still 2/10 shy. So it looked really competitive at the top there. But John D. Allen, while he improved on his best lap, could not bother the top of the timing charts. And the checkered flag is out. John D. Allen and Alex Albert still out there, just finding what the grip might be like in the race session. But I think we can reliably know what the qualifying order will be for this 1 hour race.
Yeah, indeed. I think we're all set, David. I'm going to go ahead and run down really quick. We have Alex Albert, P1, with a very, very speedy 1:33.409. It's just 2/10 behind that John D. Allen on this track, where you can get plenty of draft. I would say that time is pretty much equal, if you ask me. Mitchell Peak, who we followed a few laps along, is P3 with a 1:34.326. Thomas Ellison, P4. Ross Banfield, P5. Alex Crawford, P6. Will Robbins, P7. Jacob Bean, P8. Justin Hall, P9, showing our final qualifying time on that. Andrew Fawcett and Jean Sorota. Hopefully, David, we will see those guys pop on the grid with no qualifying time.
Yep, fingers crossed we see them start this race. Alex Albert, quite keen to get his car down on the grid behind the Porsche safety car. One full lap of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is what they're going to do behind that safety car before it pulls in. Alex Albert will control the field and we'll see a green flag and get racing. So all the drivers getting set up, getting ready for this race. Mitchell Peak on the grid, Ross Banfield on the grid, Will Robbins, Jacob Beenan, Justin Hall, I think, as well. And certainly it is going to be quite dark, because I think even now it's basically the most of the illumination is from the headlights of the vehicles.
Yeah, it's. I think these guys all stay together. They're going to want to take advantage of that draft, but they're also going to want a little bit of illumination as well. So yeah, watch these guys. It's going to be very, very bright in this front section here. And David, I just want to call out again how quick some of these laps are. This track only has 10 corners. I'm trying to think comparably of another track that this series has visited with 10 corners versus you talk about a VIR, which had what feels like 50 to 60 corners in it. So definitely not a lot of turning here. So I think tire attrition is going to happen, but it's not going to be as abusive. If anything, you're going to really load up on those right side tires, because that turn 2 corner coming down the hill full throttle, just really loading up at that. If anything, you're going to wear the right side just a little bit more. Though this is a clockwise circuit, those right side tires, especially that right front, is going to be screaming as these guys quickly approach their pit box. And David, we are rolling here on the grid with our pace lap.
Yep, indeed. Looks like 10 cars for the start of round 8. And Alex Albert, John D. Allen are your front row behind that Porsche safety car, which, if it really put the hammer down, would probably go faster than these 2015 Mazda MX-5 little cup cars. But, safety car driver very diligently doing his 65 or 70 miles an hour or so. And unlike Road America, where we do a full lap, I think this is about half the distance. Road America is, I think, 4 miles, and around here is 2.5 miles. So quite a bit shorter than Road America, where we were 2 or 3 races ago. Or was it last race? I can't quite remember. Time has flown by in this championship. Now on to round 8. And there are 7 more to go after this, I think. So we're basically at the halfway point of the championship. And it's oh so close for the top points position. And Tom Ellison is only a couple points away from first and second as well. I think any bad rounds, any races missed for your top 2, and someone else could come and snatch it away. It's not sealed yet.
No, you are definitely right. We are in round 8. That sounds like it's quite a ways up there, but no, there's still plenty of racing to go. As we've seen this entire season. John D. Allen and Alex Albert like to swap bumper paint frequently, like to go side by side. I think there's going to be so many opportunities again for these two to really go at it with each other. David, one driver I'm going to watch tonight, Alex Cofford. He is a quick driver. He is a part of the HJ Motorsport group. He is quick. He's seen some bad luck in some of these races. I hope he has an opportunity to keep it together tonight because he is a very quick driver, sitting in that P4 position. So, David, I've got my eye on Alex Cofford tonight. Anybody you watching?
I'm just going to keep my eye on that battle between Albert and Allen for sure. And the pace car pulls in. Albert has backed them up just a little bit through the final corner, and he puts the throttle down, and he has not pulled much of a gap on John D. Allen, though he is clear in front. They're side by side almost, Ellison and Mitchell Peak. I think Mitchell Peak will have to drop in line behind that. So pretty clean getaway, but all the drivers on the inside line getting a good run. So Allison gets ahead of Peak, Coffard gets ahead of Banfield, and Hall gets ahead of Beenan. Now 10 drivers all comes through turn 2. I think Jacob Beenan is having a struggle back there as well. Albert still holding on to the lead, but John D. Allen nipping right on his heels, and Tom Ellison is in there as well. So just 10 drivers, but all looking very close, and Beenan is off in turn 3.
Yeah, it looks like he's already off. That was no, David. David Beenan. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you're correct, David. Yeah, I'm trying to see what happened here. He's coming in, and it looks like just a little bit too hot. Yeah, car started poking just a little bit on David. Just couldn't quite get it settled. Managed to avoid the wall. Very generous runoffs here at Mosport, and so he's back on track. David, hopefully he can recoup some of those spots. Possibly, as you mentioned, take himself an early pit stop and get that out of the way.
Side by side for third place, Tom Ellison has the inside, Mitchell Peak trying to go around the outside. They come into the S's here in 5th gear, and it's a very subtle braking zone into a very long sweeping corner. Ellison with the inside. It's a little bit of a slide, but if Peak can stay around the outside, he can't. It would have given him the inside for the next corner, and Peak runs a little bit wide. And now Coffard is going to have a look as well. So great racing for third place here. Peak runs very wide out the final corner. Coffard avoids that. Ellison now is safe in third place. It's Peak who's under threat from Alex Coffard, 4th and 5th. They come through turn 1. And Coffard is not much closer, but this turn 2, so difficult. The track drops away right as you're turning in. Balance of the car is critical, so is the drive off the corner. Peak now looks safe from Alex Coffard, and behind it's Banfield, Robbins, Hall, Fawcett, and Jacob Beenan continues on, but did lose a bit of time with his off-track excursions.
Yeah, Michael Peak coming off for that last lap, he almost lost a position. Excuse me, Mitchell Peak, David. Excuse me, Mitchell Peak almost lost a position coming out of turn 10, took a whole boatload of curb, and David, looks like John D. Allen went a little bit wide there. But yeah, Michael Peak took a whole boatload of curb, really unsettled the car, and Alex Cofford almost made the move, but fell back in line, and he's looking to make it. Yeah, but so far, Mitchell Peak, I'm a little concerned that he's about to lose that top group, and we talked about this back straight. You're really going to want to keep that draft here, but Alex Albert, John D. Allen, and Thomas Ellison, I think they may be working together intentionally, unintentionally, but they are gapping this back group.
Yeah, that Mario Andretti straight on the back straight, it really does provide a great drafting opportunity, but it doesn't lead itself into a good overtaking opportunity. So John D. Allen is still very, very close to Alex Albert for the lead. Could not make any moves into the S's, but he gets a good run out of the final corner. Albert will have to look in his mirror here. The first corner, though, is not a good overtaking opportunity either. You just about don't touch the brakes in there. It's just a breathe off the throttle to get the car to turn in. Overtaking opportunities, there's only a few of them around here, even if you run really close, like John D. Allen is to Alex Albert for the lead right now. It's less than 0.2 of a second. There's not a car length in it, and Albert feels the need to defend a little bit into turn 3. Will this give John D. Allen a better run out the exit? Definitely lets Tom Ellison stay close, and now Mitchell Peak is not more than a second behind. This track is producing some great racing, Aaron.
Yeah, Mitchell Peak is really enjoying what he's seeing in front of him. David, we'll ask our producer to keep the camera on this bad, but we are watching Alex Cofford, Ross Banfield, and Robbins. Right now, we're watching Ross Banfield make an inside move, and the Moss corner made a little bit of contact, pushed it
side
right.
by side.
David,
Yeah, indeed. That's Coffard into the barrier on the exit of Moss Corner, trying to go side by side with Ross Banfield. Now Will Robbins has his nose up the inside. Justin Hall behind is pulling a slipstream off Ross Banfield, and somehow Fawcett has come through there, but that is big damage for Alex Coffard, who was running really well. Now Banfield and Hall side by side. Will Robbins is giving them both a slipstream. It's going to be so close coming into the S's. Robbins holds on to it. Banfield and Hall still side by side. Hall hangs it around the outside, gives him the inside for the next corner, becomes the outside for the next corner after that. Banfield, I think, holds onto it. High drama for them, but there's a switch for the lead.
Yeah, there's a switch for the lead. I'm going to quickly pop up there and see how that happened. Yeah, that happened right in turn one. Yeah, John D. Allen just got a very good run out of that final complex, 8, 9, 10 complex. Got a good run. Alex Albert could no longer defend it, give up the opportunity, let him pass. Still plenty of time left from this race. We have just ticked under the 55-minute mark. So John D. Allen, we've seen him before getting out front. He is able to gap it. And David, with this track temperature as cold as it is, I think he is free to push as much as he wants. But Thomas Ellison, he's obviously keeping a very close eye on this. He does not want to lose that draft, and I think some of his opportunities are going to come in this very bottom section. Entering Moss Corner, Alex Albert's going to have to lift a little bit. Thomas Ellison is going to have a bit of an advantage on the braking should he lose any opportunity in some of the straights due to falling back on the draft. But David, things are shaking up early.
Indeed, so John D. Allen leading now, but Albert with a great run down the back straight, pulls out of the draft, but Allen is staying all the way to the right-hand side of the circuit to defend into that turn 8. He'll stay ahead for the time being. Tom Ellison is 8 seconds adrift of the lead, and Mitchell Peak 1.2 seconds. So your top 4 have pulled a bit of a gap over all the cars behind after that incident that involved Alex Coffard, and he's now spent a minute on the pit lane. That is not a good sign. Albert gets a better run out of the final corner, but if he has no overlap into turn 1, he's not going to be able to go anywhere. So rear bumper to front bumper for the lead of the race. Allen has passed Albert, but is not getting away.
Unfortunately, David, I have just received a call from the pit lane. The driver that I have said I'm going to watch this race has just exited his car, and he is walking towards his hauler, and he appears to be he is holding a 12-pack of Busch Lights. So I think Alex Coffard, his night is done.
Unfortunate. He was running really well. Problems for Alex Albert. Thomas Ellison and Mitchell Peak have gotten past. Definitely have to take a look at how that one happened. So
yeah, Alex Albert, the exact same thing that happened to Jacob B in the race. Just overcooked it, just couldn't quite get it rotated. As we mentioned, the very generous runoff areas here. Just a very nice controlled drift by Alex Albert, putting on a bit of a show. But that is not the kind of show he wanted to put on, as he loses 2 spots in just a couple corners.
Yeah, indeed. It really opens up the points battle for the championship, and Albert side by side with Mitchell Peak trying to get 3rd place back. I think he's done that. So working it back. It's Alex Albert now back up into 3rd place, but he is 2.2 seconds away from the leader, and this gives John D. Allen an opportunity to try and build out more of a gap, try and get away. Runs a bit wide through turn 1 though, holds onto it, keeps it on the track. Now Alex Albert will be looking forward at Tom Ellison, how he's going to close that gap, how he's going to make that pass sometime in the future. He does hope. Allen 1.7 seconds clear in the lead though. That's exactly what he needed, was a mistake from Alex Albert. He got that, and he has to try and build a gap if he wants to win this race. That's what he's working on right now.
Yeah, but David, I'm going to ask our producer to go back to the battle between 5th and 6th. These guys, it looks, Will Robbins and Ross Banfield, they went side by side into turn 1. They tried to go side by side into turn 2. They tried to go side by side in turn 3, and they have sorted themselves out for Moss Corner. And right now, Justin Hall is the beneficiary of that very exciting driving. And we watch Ross Banfield go wide. Will Robbins completely missed the apex, and Justin Hall is looking to make a move. So, David, quite a bit going on here with this group in just the last 4 corners, and just because these guys aren't at the front doesn't mean they're not trying.
Albert and Ellison side by side down the back straight. Albert gets far enough ahead that Tom yields, and so now Albert is back in a second place, but 1.7 seconds away from the lead, and they continue to swap places. Fawcett goes ahead of Robbins through turns 8 and 9.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Justin Hall, as I mentioned, got a fantastic run. David, he gained 2 spots on the Andretti straight there. So, my goodness, Justin Hall is on the move, and Will Robbins, kind of the loss there.
Albert set the fastest lap of the race that time, a 1 minute 33.666, the lap time of the beast there, I think. And beastly is exactly how you might describe taking nearly a full second out of John D. Allen. So definitely the beneficiary of a lot of slipstream on the back straight, but it did allow him to get just a little bit closer. And so we've got 9 cars out there still circulating, and 8 of them involved in battles. So it's quality over quantity right now in ChampCar Sim Series, I would think. Robbins is now going to try and get past Andrew Fawcett. They're side by side coming down towards Moss Corner. Robbins will have the inside, but Fawcett is ahead. Don't let this end in tears. Fawcett, I think, just holding on to that one for the moment. Banfield has snuck ahead of Hall. They're fighting an amazing battle.
Yeah, and Justin Hall had a big off in Moss Corner, shot it completely wide. I think that is a mistake that anybody who's ever driven this course has made. And right now, yeah, Ross Banfield is taking advantage of that. But David, yeah, we've got between this front group and this back pack here, this is some great driving. But yeah, Ross Banfield and Justin Hall, doesn't look like Justin Hall is ready to concede that spot just yet.
Banfield will have the inside, and Hall is a little bit further back, but you know, if he can have a good run through these last couple of corners, there's opportunity, but I don't think that will happen. Fawcett has run quite wide. Fawcett is very wide. He's on the grass. Will he go into the tires? Yes. 2 wheels into the tires, and so now Hall to the inside of Banfield. Robbins gets ahead of Fawcett. Alex Albert is closing in on John D. Allen, and Tom Ellison and Mitchell Peake don't know what to think.
Yeah, it's all over the place. David, I'll tell you one thing I don't want to be right now is our producer, because he's having to quickly swap back and forth to this fantastic action. I'm going to continue to focus on Ross Banfield and Justin Hall. It seems like Justin Hall he's a way stronger in some of the back sectors versus Ross Banfield is just almost waiting for him to mess up in some of these sectors. Very interesting line by Ross Banfield entering this sector right here, coming down the S's. Who's going to be better on the brakes? I think Ross Banfield, yeah, a little conservative. Justin Hall, another very interesting line, David. He's really struggling with this section.
Really parked it between the 2 apexes of Moss, and someone has run wide. Fawcett has put 2 wheels off the grass, off the racing track, and gone quite wide, and that sent him even further wide. So he loses quite a bit of time to this battle, and you wonder, is he maybe carrying a little bit of damage from when he tapped the wall earlier? We might see an earlier stop out of Andrew Fawcett. Don't know yet, but Hall has, through all of that, gotten a bit further ahead of Banfield. Will Robbins is a little bit by himself. We'll see this time around. Did John D. Allen pull away from Alex Albert, or did Albert close the gap? Albert quicker once again that time around. So he is pushing like a man possessed to try and close back up to that lead.
Yeah, he really is. Let me ask our producer to go in car with Alex Albert. Let's take a full lap here, as we've got kind of a pretty beautiful dusk scenario going on here, but Alex Albert continues to just crank out fast lap after fast lap. Again, as you said, he holds the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.666. Think of that 666 however you like, but he is moving. But right now, both of these cars, John D. Allen and Alex Albert, both went green in Sector 1. So John D. Allen's spotting crew is letting him know that Alex Albert, he may be, David, you would appreciate this, some hammer time, maybe a little early on in this race, but Alex Albert understands he's got to get back up in that draft, and he's put himself about 3/10 for the good so far, just on this lap alone.
Indeed, the gap now 1.1 seconds, and I can see it dropping 1/100th of a second at a time. So Albert is just close enough to pick up some slipstream off John D. Allen, and next time around, if he's closer again, close it in further. Mitchell Peake puts his nose ahead of Tom Ellison, and Tom Ellison takes it back. So they're battling for 3rd place as well.
Yeah, but Mitchell Peak had a very good run off the Andretti straightaway, and Thomas Ellison thought of it in turn 8 and just lifted right before turn 9. No need in battling early on with that right there. So Thomas Ellison dropping a spot. He has dropped back down to the position he started in, and Mitchell Peak has regained his spot. So these two have retained their starting positions. And just below that, Justin Hall still battling it out in some fashion with Ross Banfield. He is our biggest gainer of the race, up 4 spots, starting from P9 all the way up to P5.
And Andrew Fawcett has been through the pit lane, taken 24.6 seconds of service and rejoined the race. So we'll see. He might be able to join the picture later on. Don't really expect anyone to go longer than maybe about 35 minutes on fuel. I think we'll get past the halfway point by about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we'll see everyone will have to pit at that point. So realistically, only about 20 minutes away from everyone else having to pit. Banfield runs a little bit wide, and he ends up gathering that up. So Justin Hall will be safe for the moment. And the gap lead to second about 1.2 seconds still. So Albert closed some gap and now can't close much further than that. Peak and Ellison then probably our closest battle.
Yeah, Peak and Ellison definitely is our closest battle. I'm just kind of watching some sector times. Peak and Ellison were identical sector 1. Peak a little quicker than Ellison, about 3/10 in second. I mean, watch. Peak
well
very
off
wide.
the track. Overshoots the final turn by quite some margin, but I think he kept his foot in it. He really didn't lose any time to that, but it could have been much, much worse for him. So he held on to third place, and Ellison remains in fourth. Shows how hard Peak is having to push to stay ahead of Ellison, though.
Yeah, that was a pretty fantastic display of driving there. At turn 9, he just got a whole boatload of curb. Car got unsettled. Entered turn 10. He didn't miss the apex, but I think he was just thinking so much about how unsettled the car was. He just kept the throttle down and didn't lift. These Miatas, you do have an opportunity to keep it going in the grass without a dangerous spin opportunity. And Mitchell Peak gave us a great display of that.
I think Moss Corner is the corner where we see the most different types of lines. Some sort of blend it all into one corner. Some come really hot through the first apex, park it in the middle, and then try to open the throttle early for the second apex. I thought Mitchell Peak was going to run a bit wide, but that was just the line he was running compared to Tom Ellison. And the elevation change there makes it a little bit blind as you come in as well. Plenty of corners like that around here. Turn 2 is also a bit blind on the entry. Not an easy track. Alex Albert has gone and lost 8/10 to John D. Allen, though, so scruffy time this lap from Alex Albert. Lets John D. Allen build a little bit more of that gap.
Yeah, David, I just did a quick scan back, and Alex Albert, he did it again. Coming out of turn 3, he went wide again and dropped the left side tires into that dirt, got very, very sideways. I managed to recoup it, but David, that's how he lost almost a full second to John D. Allen. So Alex Albert, that turn 3 continues to bite him here very early on in the race.
Banfield and Hall have just swapped positions out of the final corner, so Ross Banfield back up into 5th, Hall in 6th, but you really feel like that could swap again at any time as well. So battle for 3rd, battle for 5th on track right now, and basically just as close as each other.
Yeah, really good here. And David, I'm trying to do a quick local time check. It is very, very dark here. I don't have that pulled up. It has to be
9:30.
half past 9. So yeah, the crowds are good and possibly boozed up for this race. Everybody's got their snacks. They are ready to settle in and watch these battles continue. But yeah, Ross Banfield, Justin Hall, I don't see this one settling down at all. And Thomas Ellison and Mitchell Peak. And here goes Justin Hall looking to make a move on Ross Banfield coming into the 8, 9, 10 complex.
Paul has used the slipstream down that Mario Andretti straight, got his nose in front, got into the inside of turn 8 and parks it in front of Ross Banfield. Not going to let him through here. Banfield Not going to get an opportunity. Hall driving very, very well, but will he get enough drive off the final corner? Banfield will close, but won't have an opportunity before turn 1, I don't think. No, he won't. So Hall back up into 5th, and once again, barking it on the apex in front of Ross Banfield, who tries to get to the inside of turn 2 and will. This is always scary going too wide through here. The track plunges away downhill. It's not easy when you're by yourself, let alone side by side, but Hall carries the momentum around the outside, holds on to 5th for the moment, then runs wide through turn 3. Hall and Banfield very, very equally matched. Amazing.
That was really fun to watch, but you watched how light Ross Banfield's car got again going through turn 1, and then on the corner he got very light, a little bit sideways. So yeah, not a whole lot of aero efficiencies on these cars to keep that car. But David, it's all about making sure you get that right side loaded up as quickly as possible. Whether that's a little extra wheel, maybe that's getting on the gas, maybe that's a really deep entry, and then maybe a late apex. But yeah, these cars, you got to get them loaded up to settle for that second corner. And Justin Hall did it just a little better that time. And Ross Benfield, has lost himself almost, about 4/10 coming down the Andretti straightaway. And just do a quick call. We have not missed anything up front. Is unfortunately, David, we have seen Alex Albert again drop like an absolute rock. He is now down 3 seconds from the last time we checked in. There's a 5.4 second gap between P1 and P2 now.
Here's something interesting. The last laps for Hall and Banfield, a 35.6 and a 35.7. Andrew Fawcett did a 35.0. So while he had to go for an early pit stop, he's setting good laps out there. And if Hall and Banfield continue to fight, put in scruffy laps, Fawcett will be right up there once it comes time for Hall and Banfield to pit. Peake and Ellison are doing 34.8s, 34.6s, so they'll be safe. But Andrew Fawcett, if he just keeps his head down like he's doing right now, he could definitely be part of this challenge for 5th place deeper in the race. We'll have to see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, we'll have to see that shakes out, because as we saw earlier, just a big incident. I don't know if that was a mistake by either driver, but just a big incident, taking his fast repair very early, getting that car fixed, taking his service, taking his fuel, possibly taking some tires. I don't know if you'd want to take that early, but he's gonna wait for these guys to continue to battle. Right now, our hottest action on track is definitely Thomas Ellison and Mitchell Peake, as these two are running very, very close. These two are the only two cars on track that really have the benefit of the draft. You watch Mitchell Peake do a very impressive drift through the 8-9 complex, takes it really wide coming into turn 10. Who's going to get the better run? And Mitchell Peake, he's done it again. David, that appears to be his preferred line for turn 10, is just skip the track entirely and go for the grass.
Yeah, indeed, he just keeps the foot planted, tracks it out there, and does the same thing through turn 1, but this time I'm not sure he'll get away with it as well. It compromises his line into turn 2. He runs out very wide, nearly puts 2 tires in the grass in the middle of turn 2. Now Ellison is going to try and break deep around the outside of turn 3, set up a better exit here. Tom Ellison is doing all the right things, he just can't get close enough to Peake, but now they're side by side down the hill towards Moss Corner, and I think Ellison will get a full car length clear. He has taken 3rd position away from Mitchell Peake, who was scruffy in the last corner, scruffy in turn 1, scruffy in turn 2, and then finally the exit of turn 3. Tom Ellison gets the job done, but he wasn't as quick through Moss Corner as Mitchell Peake was, and Peake is coming back at him now.
Yeah, just a clinical drive by Thomas Ellison in turn 3. Just had the preferred line. You don't necessarily need to hit the apex there. There's plenty of track that allows you to run wide. And with these cars, you can put that throttle down fairly early. Right now, we're seeing Thomas Ellison, a very defensive line, entering this 8-9-10 complex. He does have the preferred line, but right now it is Mitchell Peake that's going to steal it away, as, again, these guys are swapping positions. Oh, maybe not. Thomas Ellison going wide, running strong. Can he hold it on track? David, he's going to go too wide into turn 10. My goodness, these guys aren't done yet.
Ellison almost using the pit entry line there, and then just brought it back towards an apex on the final corner. Now he's got the inside for turn 1. This is where Peake ran wide last lap, and keeps it together this time. So side by side into turn 2, they'll go as well. Ellison needs to be careful he doesn't get squeezed out there, and he relents that position this time because that was the safer, smarter thing to do, I think. Any contact at high speed in the turn 2 and was not going to be good for either driver. So Peak has third position back now. Ellison is obviously looking and feeling pretty racy.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think most of these guys want to take a position away, but I imagine if we could see their faces right now, there's probably two pretty big smiles on their faces. It looks like these guys are having a lot of fun out there. You can't go too wide on this track, knowing how wide it is and as much of a safety net out there. Now, you don't want to have any contact, but we're going to watch Thomas Ellison. He's within half a second right now. That is plenty of opportunity to pull him all the way back up there. Now, is he going to choose to go side by side to the 8, 9, 10 complex again? I doubt it. But Thomas Ellison going to get back up here, David. But these guys clearly having a lot of fun, at least this two-car group right now, having a lot of fun on track. I don't know if Alex Albert is probably feeling the same as he continues to try and recoup over a 5-second gap to John D. Allen.
Riding on board now with that 4th place, Tom Ellison, and his headlights well and truly illuminate the car of Peak even in the darkness here, and continues to get even darker. It's just about full nighttime conditions now, so visibility at a bit of a premium, but Tom Ellison does have the advantage of seeing the brake lights of the car in front, seeing the track that's illuminated by Mitchell Peak, and Peak is settled down a little bit. Once you get scruffy, once you get offline, it seems like it then happens corner after corner for Mitchell Peak. But that lap was sensible, and it's pretty sensible now too.
Yeah, it is pretty sensible. I'm trying to study the driving style of Mitchell Peak. I don't know Mitchell Peak. I don't know what other series he's run, but just watching his braking technique and how deep, oh my goodness, Dave, look, very unsettled in the mouse corner, but just watching some of his braking techniques and seeing when he is turning in, I feeling he's probably used to driving a much higher downforce car if he's a regular in the iRacing series, maybe a GT3 car, maybe even the Formula Renault, because some of his braking points and some of his turn-in styles just do not emulate that of a car that he's used to driving, a low downforce vehicle, versus Thomas Ellison, a little more graceful, easier on the brakes, easier turn-ins. Because yeah, Mitchell Peak, just, you see him right here, David, you see him just dive to the apex like he's just wanting the front of that car to bite, and it's just not doing what he wants it to.
Yeah, Ellison got a good run down the back straight that time, but they're very equally matched now, and he didn't get close enough to try and spring a move. So yet another lap of status quo for Peak and Ellison, but they continue to be the closest battle we've got on track. Allen and Albert's a bit of a yo-yo in terms of the times, just bouncing up and down between 5.5 seconds. Peak and Ellison cannot be separated. Hall and Banfield behind, separated by just over a second at the moment. So this is where the action is at this point in the race, but we inch ever closer towards pit stop time, I think, Aaron.
Yeah, we are coaching pit stop time. And David, Justin Hall has gone wide. Justin Hall has gone wide. Ross Banfield is going to take advantage. Justin Hall has done exactly what we saw, unfortunately, Alex Albert. So, David, all the sections we called out on this track, all the areas where you can make mistakes, weirdly enough, that turn 3 has really consumed and really caused problems for a lot of our cars. Justin Hall didn't hit the wall, all through the grass, but David, he has lost that position to Ross Banfield and is now 1.8 seconds back.
Critically, what that means is his last lap was a 1:38. This one's going to be a bit slow as well. Andrew Fawcett's last lap was a 1:43 though, so he's also encountered some problems out there. John D. Allen's just gone and set his gone and set the best lap of anyone that time. So plenty still happening out there. Not just that battle between Peak and Ellison. Justin Hall having some struggles. John D. Allen running well, and Andrew Fawcett, I don't know what happened to him. Conditions grippy, but visibility not good. So that obviously presents a very big challenge.
Yeah, a big challenge, I think. The Mitchell Peak and Thomas Ellison battle in terms of illumination, these guys are winning, and I think there's an opportunity to stick a big old Ford F-150 light bar on the top of your car for this race. I'm sure these guys would greatly appreciate that, but that is not an opportunity here. So watch these guys dive down again. Mitchell Peak, Thomas Ellison, two completely different approaches to Moss Corner. Thomas Ellison, I think, getting a little better run. Mitchell Peak using every single inch of the paved surface. It got a very good run out of there, but Thomas Ellison keeps the gap right down to half a second. So checking sector times again. So they're just dead equal. And I think Thomas Ellison, we've seen him do this before. He'll get to a point in the race where he'll push, realize he's in a comfortable spot, find a buddy to ride along with. I don't want to say he's giving up and he's comfortable with the position he's in, but Tom Ellison just likes to settle in sometimes with just under 30 minutes left in this race. I think that's where Thomas Ellison is, and potentially plotting out his first pit stop.
My thoughts exactly. We've passed the halfway point of the race. Now in the final 30 minutes, you wonder who of your runners that haven't pitted yet are thinking about an early pit stop, because it's definitely within the window for it. And Ross Banfield is going to be one of them. So he jumps into pit lane. So Justin Hall goes back up into fifth. Ross Banfield, the early pit stop. And where will he come out relative to someone like Andrew Fawcett? That'll also be interesting to see. 24.6 seconds was the service time for Fawcett. Banfield stops in his box, now taken on 10 seconds of service.
David, P6 Frost Banfield has gone, or sort of Will Robbins has gone very, very wide into turn 2. He has not made any contact, but that was a spectacular drift. So Will Robbins is our first victim of that turn 2 section. I'm trying to find the replay right now, but I think he just... Yeah, Dave, I think he just went a little too wide into that section and really overcooked things. But fantastic wheelman effort right there to not smack the wall, which is very easy to do at the bottom of that corner.
Very tough for the drivers to see their turn-in points for that corner, even in the daylight over the crest. But now at night, much, much tougher. Your leader, though, John D. Allen, also electing for a slightly earlier stop, so Albert stays out. John D. Allen enters pit lane. This is going to be critical, because what can Allen do for pit stop time? Can Albert do a shorter stop? Mitchell Peak also into pit lane as well. That suggests that even with the cool temperatures, the tires are struggling a little bit, that these guys want to come in earlier.
Thomas Ellison is wrecked exiting turn 1.
Wow, that is a huge incident. Take a look at that one again. So for Tom Ellison, goes into turn 1. It's a little bit of the curb on the entry, and then just high sides the car on the exit curb, spits him to the inside wall, and he's gone in nose first quite hard. So that'll cost Ellison a lot of time to peak. And Ellison, I think, he's lucky to get that thing home without blowing the engine.
Yeah, David, I want to just watch a little bit before. I think psychologically, Thomas Ellison, he was wanting to pit, but Mitchell Peak pitted as well. Thomas Ellison dove out of the pit entry lane, so I think he was a bit unsettled mentally on this lap. He was looking to pit, and he's like, here's my opportunity to possibly do an undercut. And David just came in really hot into turn 1, car loaded up on the left side, and just happened to clip the grass with that right, or that left rear, and that is all over, David. So yeah, he's gonna have to limp that thing, hopefully not pop the motor.
The car has been towed back to pit road for Tom Ellison. It's been sitting in that box for approaching a minute now. That is not a good sign whatsoever. But Alex Albert is on to the pit lane and getting his car fueled and serviced as well right now. John D. Allen is stuck behind Will Robbins, who hasn't pitted yet. This presents an opportunity for Albert, but I don't know if he was close enough to make this overcut work. John D. Allen took 23 seconds of fuel. Albert still stationary in his box. 22, 23 seconds. Albert gets going with about the same fuel as John D. Allen. So Allen goes back into the lead of the race. They're going to come out very, very close to each other through the in-lap and the out-lap. Don't know how Alex Albert has done that, but he's shaved off 2 or 3 seconds. So he's now going to be behind Will Robbins, who is yet to pit.
Yeah, that was as I said at the beginning of the race. Alex Albert is a very sneaky maestro when it comes to the pit stops, and yeah, he just timed that right. And unfortunately, John D. Allen got stuck a little bit behind a non-pitted Will Robbins. So Alex Albert, David, that was almost a 4.5-second gain with that pit stop cycle. And John D. Allen goes very wide into Moss corner, almost drops a tire off. But David, that gap is now down to 1.4 seconds. And I think with 25 minutes left in this race, I think we have got ourselves a potentially brewing battle again for P1 and P2.
So everyone's pitted except Will Robbins. Your leader is John D. Allen, 1.4 seconds ahead of Alex Albert. And just behind there is Will Robbins. But net third, Mitchell Peak has now been freed from his battle with Thomas Ellison, unfortunately. And Justin Hall has had a good run through the pit stops, and now he takes the position away from Mitchell Peak for fourth.
Wow, there's all sorts of pit cycle action going on here. As when we're talking about pit cycles, remember our very, very early pitter, Andrew Fawcett. He has his pit strategy. I wouldn't say it is panned out entirely yet, as we watch Alex Albert go very wide into turn one. But Andrew Fawcett, David, he is now within 8 seconds of Mitchell Peak, where that gap at one point was 44 seconds. So plenty of opportunity for Andrew Fawcett. Should anybody in front of him make a mistake, he's definitely within fighting range.
Mitchell Peak is having a really difficult time of it because Ross Banfield has also come through. So now we've got a 3-car battle for what's 4th, 5th, and 6th. Will Robbins stays out on track in 3rd place. But I think once Will Robbins pits, this will be the battle for 3rd. Will it go to Hall, Banfield, or Peak? It's what we wait to see. Hall and Banfield had a great battle earlier, but now Mitchell Peak is mixed up amongst it as well. He might be quicker, but he's had some problems that have put him back here with these guys. What a fantastic battle to watch. We'll keep our eyes on this one for the time being, unless we see some real action happening up the front. Peak is having a look at Banfield. Dare I say? No, I won't say it. I'm not even going to go there. So Hall leads them into Moss. Banfield, nearly 2 wheels on the dirt, gets away with it. Hall wide in the second apex. And these guys, the 3 of them, are separated by half a second. There's less than a car length between Banfield and Peak. There's just over a car length between Hall and Banfield. None of these guys can afford a mistake if they want to stand on the podium. Will Robbins into the pits with 23 minutes to go. So that's how long you can go on fuel, apparently. No one else wanted to try it. They all wanted new tires. Peak looking at the inside of Banfield. Doesn't happen. Banfield was just behind Hall as well.
Yeah, very impressive and very long run by Will Robbins. I want to quickly talk about this group and the 4, 5, 6 battle. We talked about right now, it is pitch black, unless some of these fans are wearing night vision. I don't know how much they can see unless there's a car running around here. But right now, I would say Mitchell Peak is the beneficiary of all this illumination, and Justin Hall is also a big benefactor because he's getting all that illumination from these guys. But David, those very, very high beams are blaring in the back of him right now, so that has got to be extremely distracting. And same for Ross Banfield. That can't be very nice either, with all these light beams shooting around. So watching your brake points, all this extra illumination is very nice, but that very bright beam shooting across can't be helped. Watch Mitchell Peak go inside Ross Banfield entering Moss corner.
That's going to be very, very tough. They just avoid making contact because Peak runs wide. Banfield had the inside, so that costs Peak a lot of time. he had the inside for the sweeper down the hill, but that's then the outside for that narrow one line Moss corner, and he's gone in a little bit too hot trying to go around the outside, gone wide through the grass and the gravel, but avoided the wall. He gets going once again. The lead of your race, though, down to 0.6 of a second. Alex Albert has his head down.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to make sure we popped up here to that because Alex Albert, yeah, he is making some very strong headway. Alex Albert has 1 lap newer tires, but David, their pit stops were almost identical. John Allen with a pit stop of 23.1, Alex Albert 23.2. So that is dead even as far as I'm concerned when it comes to pit stops with a Mazda Miata. But Alex Albert just blazing through some of these laps.
John Allen's wide. Albert to the inside of Moss corner. Albert into the lead. John D. Allen was too late on the brakes into Moss. He's gone wide. Tires on the grass, through the gravel, just like Mitchell Peak did. Avoids the wall, but loses quite a few seconds. And now Alex Albert has the lead of the race. John D. Allen follows him down the Mario Andretti straightaway in the slipstream, but he is no longer the leader.
Yeah, I watched a quick replay of John D. Allen's entry. He did miss the apex. It looked like he had a very strong and just very normal entry, but he was coming in probably about 10 miles an hour. Too hot, could not get the car rotated. This is not a car where you could use the throttle to help you rotate. Once that front end is planted, it is what it is. But yeah, John D. Allen has got a bit of work to do. He's got plenty of time. We're just now ticked under 20 minutes left in this race. But we've seen Alex Albert before. He'll be patient, but he gets a clear track in front of him. My goodness, he can run away if he is feeling strong. And I think right now with that very opportunistic pass, I'm thinking he's probably feeling strong right now, David. He's going to look to increase that gap and break that drafting opportunity from John D. Allen.
He'll try, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to do it. He's only 0.3 clear of John D. Allen now, and Mitchell Peak is back with Hall and Banfield. So everyone in your top 5 is involved in a battle right now with 20 minutes to go. They enter Moss corner, and once again, John D. Allen gets in very hot. Once again, he's in the gravel. He's pushing so hard. He's made nearly the same mistake 2 laps in a row. So now he finds himself 1.1 seconds back from Alex Albert. These guys know what they're fighting for, and they are fighting so hard.
Yeah, they are. Watch Ross Banfield stick a nose inside Justin Hall. These guys are coming down to the very fast turn 4 section down into Moss corner. I do not recommend going side by side here. I think Ross Banfield knows that too. Drops back from Justin Hall. That's going to give Mitchell
Hall
Peak.
isn't too hot this time. Hall goes very wide, even further wide than we've seen the others do. So that drops Justin Hall back into 5th. Banfield grabs 3rd, and Mitchell Peak has a great run at Ross Banfield down the back straight this time. Banfield is staying to the left, which lets Peak go to the right. Just going to give him the inside to the next corner. They are noses level right now. And once again, Banfield, I think, lifts out a tiny bit. Mitchell Peak gets to take pretty much the racing line into that corner. So they all swap positions. Peak gets 2, Banfield gains 1, then loses 1, and Justin Hall loses 2.
David, I don't want to say I'm keeping count, but I think that is 3 visits into the kitty litter by Justin Hall into Moss corner right now. So that corner continues to give him some big trouble. But David, there's some other action on track that you want to talk about.
Albert went wide in turn 2, then wide again in turn 3. So John D. Allen leading now. Alex Albert almost 4 seconds behind. Visibility clearly tough in these cars, not easy at night. All of these sweeping corners up and downhill. No one can get it right, and everyone is trying. So Alex Albert, what a very costly mistake.
Yeah, and again, that turn three bit him again, David. That is the third time that it's bit him. Both he's gone through all four tires twice, and he's just gone through left sides once. So that corner, and I think right now it's not so much Alex Albert just missing his marks, but it is all visibility at this point. So I think we're gonna have to really go back and focus on this battle between Mitchell Peak and Ross Benfield, and Justin Hall is also working way up. But David, let's not count out Andrew Fawcett. Remember a while back I said he was 44 seconds back, and then I said he was 8 seconds back, and now he is 4 seconds back from Justin Hall. So Andrew Fawcett continues on just an absolutely monster recovery drive.
Yeah, all of this fighting we've seen between Peak, Banfield, and Hall has let Andrew Fawcett close up a bit. Quite a few seconds on Justin Hall last time around when Hall went so wide through Moss. Peak leads Banfield into turn one though, and Peak runs very, very wide. Will he miss the wall? He just will. Peak with a huge adventure across the grass. Banfield can't quite capitalize. He gets to the rear bumper into turn two, and he's so close there, but Peak just holds on like he just held on through the grass. Has to take a defensive line into turn two. Can compromise your exit. Will Banfield get a better run?
I'm not sure if he's going to get a better, but we've really Mitchell Peak has kind of made that his signature move coming out of turn 10, just taking a little bit of extra line here. David very unsettled going into the Mitchell Peak, holds on to it, but yeah, that's become his MO in this race. Turn 10, asphalt, not that important, and turn 1, he's also coined that his own as well. So some very interesting driving techniques by Mitchell Peak, but David, he's proven us that this may work.
Here comes Ross Banfield. Peak is defending the inside. Banfield has a run and will have to try and go around the outside. Might just get his nose level before the braking zone, but he doesn't, so he backs out of it to take the proper racing line and not have to try and go around Mitchell Peak. Banfield showing just a little bit of patience. Sets up a better run through the front corner, does he? Because Peak runs wide once again, and Banfield back through into third place. Great race these guys have had all race long, swapping those positions back and forth. Now Banfield grabs third place. Peak has a better run through turn one, gets his nose to the inside of turn two, side by side once again, and Banfield might back out of this one if past form is any indicator, and it is. So he lets Peak take the corner and knows that he will have an opportunity to fight this again. As these two have kept going side by side to each other, Peak did a 37.5 last lap, Justin Hall a 35.5. So Hall is closing back in again, and he's dragging Andrew Fawcett along with him. We're going to have a great battle in the last 10 minutes here. Into Moss Corner they go. Peak still leads Banfield. Banfield runs a little wide, gets away with it, keeps it on the tarmac, but didn't get his fastest run through there. These guys, the smallest turnout we've had in ChampCar Sim Series so far this year, is giving us some of the best racing deep into the hour.
No, I'm going to have to ask our statistician post-race to see exactly how many position swaps, because we have to be at a record at this point. I feel like between Mitchell Peak and Ross Banfield, these guys are swapping almost every other lap. John D. Allen, Alex Albert swapping a whole bunch. Justin Hall and Will Robbins early on in the race, Jacob Beenan. So this whole group here, I feel like at one point they've all passed each other at some point. But David, we're having a lot of fun watching these guys. But right now, the hottest battle on track remains Mitchell Peak and Ross Banfield. And I want to quickly call it again. It looks like Andrew Fawcett, looks like his run all the way up a day on that recovery drive may have cooled off just a little bit. That gap has maintained about 4.5 seconds to Justin Hall. So Justin Hall settled down. Andrew Fawcett possibly feeling some of that tire wear, and that big exciting run as his recovery drive, it may have be coming to an end with just over 12.5 minutes left in this race.
Peak runs a bit wide of the apex in turn 3, gets a little bit of grass, has to get out of the throttle. Banfield swoops through back into third place. So that's +1 in the column of positions changed this race. And what a big column it's going to be. Huge numbers. And Peak, though, great run through Moss corner, right underneath Ross Banfield. And is there always going to be contact here as Peak tries to go around the outside, but Banfield wants to keep his car all the way to the left. That sort of neuters the run that Peak had built up, and now he stays behind Banfield once again. It's only 1.5 seconds backwards from Peak to Justin Hall, who has been closing, but Peak sticks his nose towards the inside of the S's, and that means Banfield has to take a wider line that he wouldn't have wanted to, but he brings it back in for the second apex, and then into the left-hander. He'll hold on as well. Peak might get a better run out of the final corner, and he does. Will he try and pass onto the inside of turn one? He will. He will. So side by side on the entry to turn one. Not optimal for either of these guys, but Peak tracks all the way out, pushes Banfield onto the grass. Justin Hall joins the party. Banfield rejoins on the inside of turn two. Banfield holds on to third. Peak can't get up out of fourth place. Now Justin Hall in fifth place is part of the party.
My goodness, David, take a breather there, my son. That was that was a lot going on right there. But yeah, Mitchell Peak continues to push very hard. But yeah, Ross Banfield is not giving him any break at all. As we saw, Ross Banfield got a very, very good run out of Moss corner last time. He took it very, very wide and really got on full throttle even before the exit. I was watching him take a whole boatload of curb right there. That is not what you want to do. That was really unsettled the car. And as I said, Justin Hall is going to be taking advantage of how much curb Mitchell Peak got now with Ross Banfield falling in the draft of Ross Banfield. Justin Hall is not going to have the benefit of the draft, but if Justin Hall can stay on the outside here, he's going to have the preferred line into that 8-9 complex, potentially giving him an opportunity to complete the pass in turn 10. Let's see how this sorts out.
Well, very brave around the outside. Justin Hall grabs that spot away from Mitchell Peak. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but Peak just had to brake a little bit earlier than he wanted to. That let Hall swoop around the outside. Now Peak has a pretty poor run out of the final corner, once again using lots of the grass. I'm not sure if that's picking up understeer or if he's fighting oversteer with that, but that means Justin Hall has successfully fought his way back into this battle group and back up into fourth. Poor run on the out of turn one for him, though. Means Peak comes back at him, and we've got a pretty bonkers 3-car battle with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who has the tire advantage. Justin Hall, yeah, I hate to say there's a tire advantage at this point because I think all these guys, it's a pretty equal playing field. But Justin Hall has 10-lap-old tires, Ross Banfield 12-lap-old tires, and Mitchell Peak 11-lap-old tires. So I think right now, if there's going to be any performance advantage,
Banfield goes wide, Hall goes wide, Peak comes through for third place. Maybe he does. Banfield went much wider than Hall did. Hall nearly followed him off. Peak nearly grabbed 2 for 1. Banfield rejoins at the back of the party. Peak following in the slipstream of Hall, who stays to the left-hand side of the track, and Peak almost gives him a little bit of a bump draft there before he pulls towards the inside. This is how he couldn't get the move done earlier. Hall was good around the outside, and once again, Hall goes in very deep around the outside, just manages to hold on to it. Hall holds on to third place, Peak fourth, and Banfield, well, he didn't lose out too much, but he did lose 2 positions, but not too much time through Moss Corner. He stays in fifth. 8 minutes to go. John D. Allen still has an 8.5 second lead over Alex Albert. It's looking a little bit more definitive up front. So this battle, third, fourth, fifth, it's nearly half of your cars that are running, but they are putting on a show.
They're absolutely putting on a show. I want to call out again, Justin Hall, that block he put on Mitchell Peak into turn 8. I mean, that was a very definitive, there was no question his intentions that you are not going to pass me into this 8-9-10 complex, a very strong block. But Mitchell Peak is undeterred, David. He's going to potentially look for a pass in Moss Corner.
He's trying to go to the inside of Moss Corner. This is so brave, and he has to brake a little bit early. Hall tries to go around the outside here. He goes too wide. We've seen plenty of guys go off in the middle of the corner. He goes off on the outside of the corner. Keeps his foot pretty well planted, but Peak will just get clear. Lets Banfield get very close. Banfield follows in the draft of Peak to go side by side with Hall. Wow. So Banfield in front of Hall. Banfield will try and pass Peak as well, though. Peak is to the right-hand side of the circuit to defend the inside. Just a tiny bit of overlap with Banfield. Banfield goes around the outside, 2 for 1. Banfield grabs third place. Can he hold on to it? They're still side by side as Peak comes towards the inside of the final corner. Banfield crosses over under, still side by side for third place. Justin Hall looks on. Banfield will have the inside of turn 1. Peak has run wide here before. Peak carries lots of momentum all the way out to the grass. And now Justin Hall comes up the inside of Ross Banfield. And Peak runs off the circuit in turn 2. So Peak is going to lose a lot of time to this. Peak has gone and lost maybe as much as 4 or 5 seconds. Banfield third, Hall fifth. Now Fawcett will sneak up on Mitchell Peak.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. It looks like Mitchell Peak's driving in the grass habits finally caught up to him, David. He just got a little too much curb entering that turn 2 section. Car got unsettled, just could not get it rotated. So we were very entertained by his grass driving habits early on in this race, but they finally have come back to bite him with the 5.5 minutes left of this race.
Indeed, and provides an opportunity for Andrew Fawcett as well. But we look at Hall and Banfield, and Hall has just managed to pull out just over a second on Ross Banfield. I tell you what, all race, no one has looked certain for that third position. But now Justin Hall, with 5 minutes to go, has more gap than anyone's had, but it is not over yet for any of these guys. Not for Hall, Banfield, Peak, or Fawcett. And dare I say, it's not over for John D. Allen or Alex Albert either. We've seen plenty of them do some unforced errors and some excursions as well. John D. Allen's not pushing as hard as he has earlier in the race, though, because he's got 10 seconds of gap now.
Yeah, he is. I'm now back to my main man, Andrew Fawcett, who is currently in a P6. He's at 4 spots from where he started. David, he is on 26 lap old tires, and he's doing his darndest to keep up with Ross Banfield. Fawcett's last lap was a 140.5. Ross Banfield a 137.2. Keep in mind, Mitchell Peak on that last lap did have a draft opportunity, so we're going to see who's got enough car under them. But right now, Mitchell Peak is really struggling. He's gone off again into turn 10 with a little bit of grass, so a bit of consistency issues for Mitchell Peak. But David, it looks like our battle between Justin Hall and Ross Banfield is closing up just a little bit as Ross Banfield is back under 1 second.
Yeah, the long back straight here, there's just really no shaking the car behind unless you've got 1.5 seconds or more. And Hall never had that advantage over Banfield, so just under 1 second it is right now. And Banfield follows in the wheel tracks of the 164 car. And will not have any opportunity this time, but it lets him close up just a couple of crucial tenths of a second. If he can keep it clean the rest of the corners around the lap, then it'll be much closer the lap after that. But eventually the laps will run out because John D. Allen has 3 laps to go as the leader, and now as Hall and Banfield cross the line, there's 3 laps to go for them. 3 minutes left on the clock, and time runs out. It's only going to be a few more opportunities for Banfield, for Fawcett, and dare I say for Allen and Albert as well.
Yeah, we watch Justin Hall the car got very upset in that turn 2. He's completely missed the apex in turn 3 of that wide apex there. And Ross Banfield is now pulled within 6 tenths with just 2.5 laps to go.
Poor run through Moss Corner last time for John D. Allen cost him a couple of seconds. So what was a 10-second gap? It's now down to just 7.6 seconds, but no damage on the car. And he crosses the start-finish line for the penultimate lap.
And I'm going to ask our producer to also pop back Andrew Fawcett. He is pulled in to half a second on Mitchell Peak. So Mitchell Peak appears to have had another issue. David, we're going to have two very hot battles on our hands here for the final 2 laps of this race. I don't know which one we want to watch. We know how quick
Banfield's
Mitchell
looking
Peak
at
is.
Hall. Banfield tries to go around the outside of Hall, and it doesn't work, but Banfield is much closer.
Yeah, Ross Banfield trying to do a nice little sweeper. Who's going to get the butter run out of turn 10? Let's look. Ross Banfield, a very, very good run. Going to be almost side by side at the line. He's got the preferred line going into turn 1. If I was Justin Hall, I'd just let him go. Make sure there's no mistakes here. David, we are just on the 2-lap. Oh, and a very dangerous move by Justin Hall, but bold move. David, he's completed the pass into turn 1. Wow.
Yeah, just one car width, one Mazda Miata width to the inside on turn 2, and Justin Hall takes it and then parks it on the apex at turn 3. And now Banfield gets a teeny bit better run, but he's got nowhere to go. He'd have to go around the outside downhill, and he does not have the momentum out there. Loses just a little bit of time. Behind them, Fawcett taking every look he can at Mitchell Peak. Into Moss Corner they go, and Peak at the limits of the grip. Better run out for Andrew Fawcett. He's right at the rear bumper of Mitchell Peak. Andrew Fawcett issues early on, and Banfield puts his nose in front of Hall as well, so everyone battling everywhere. John D. Allen has seen the white flag, so has Alex Albert, your leaders on the final lap.
David, Andrew Fawcett just took to the grass on the inside of the Andretti straight as Mitchell Peak gave him a bit of a push. Looks like we're side by side up there for P3, P4.
Yeah, door to door, Hall and Banfield. Banfield has the inside into the final corner. Hall had the momentum around the outside, but Banfield picks up the throttle just better as he sees the white flag. Begins the final lap of the race. Time expires, and Banfield just in front of Hall and closes off the inside for turn 2. He's not going to let Hall do that again. Hall has to go around the outside of turn 2, just keeps it within the track limits. As great as that battle is, though, we really have to look now at the number 48 of John D. Allen. He's only got a couple of corners left to go. Through the second to last corner he goes, into the final corner. Checkered flag at the starter's stand. Waves for John D. Allen because he wins round 8 of the ChampCar Sim Series and gets some much needed points over Alex Albert, who'll finish in second. That will narrow the lead that Alex Albert has in this championship to right within touching distance. Now we can look back at Banfield and Hall.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a drama here. Entering turn 4 in Moss Corner, they were side by side, and Justin Hall gave Ross Banfield's right rear quarter panel a little tap, and Justin Hall, I think, realized that he gave him a pretty scary moment, backed off. And David, I think we may be quite sure of how this is going to turn out now, because Justin Hall, a bit of a gentleman's lift after a bit of an incident in turn 4 entering Moss Corner. But wow, these guys have put on a hell of a show tonight.
Hall just not close enough to go to the inside of Banfield on the final corner. So Banfield will take the last spot on the podium. Justin Hall, after starting in 9th, finishes in 4th and putting on an absolutely fantastic show. Mitchell Peak finishes ahead of Andrew Fawcett in that battle, and last man left running out on the track is Will Robbins, and he'll see the checkered flag shortly as well. And that'll draw to a close the on-track action of round 8 of ChampCar Sim Series. This one brought to you at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Wow, I didn't know that just 8 cars on track would leave me breathless for an hour, Aaron.
No, that was a whole lot of fun to call. The battle up front kept us entertained and kept us on the edge of our seats for about the first 15 minutes, and then just a few unfortunate off-track incidents in that devilish turn 3 for Alex Albert kind of left him behind, and then John D. Allen just ran away with a bit. My goodness, that battle between Ross Banfield, Justin Hall, Mitchell Peak, and Will Robbins to a point that just didn't stop. It was relentless throughout this race. So yeah, just only just under half a dozen, or just under a dozen cars in this race. We were left no short of action. David, I'm going to send you down to the paddock to see who you can grab into our booth. And while you're doing that, I will quickly run down our finishing order. John D. Allen closes out tonight. P1, Alex Albert. P2, Ross Banfield. P3, Justin Hall for a hard-fought P4. Mitchell Peak in P5, Andrew Fawcett with a fantastic recovery drive in P6, Will Robbins P7, Jacob Beenan P8, Thomas Ellison P9 with a very difficult wreck we saw tonight. We hate to see that from Thomas Ellison. Alex Crawford with a rough night, a wreck early and put him out, and Jean Sirota, we did not see grid. So, David, have you found anybody down in the paddock that you can put a microphone in front of?
Yeah, we have race winner John D. Allen. And John, that was a bit of back and forth between you and Alex Albert. And in the end, it looks like your race winner is the person who had the least excursions over the grass.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty much mistake free until the pit stop, and I debated not taking tires, which might have seemed odd, but I just felt like I was in such a rhythm with the older tires. But I thought, no, that's silly. I'll go ahead and take 4 new ones. And as dark as it had gotten, the dynamics of how it drove versus the last time on old tires or on new tires was just an adjustment. And then I think it was my second or third lap out after that, trying to settle into a rhythm, is when Jacob spun there in turn 3 and was a bit rattling. So I never really resettled until maybe the last 5 laps of the race. It was just about survival there for a bit.
And tell us about that strategy, because we saw most people come into the pit lane for their service before the end of the fuel stint. Is that just about the fresh tires? Is that what seemed like the best strategy? Because obviously there's quite a few fast, heavily loaded, undulating corners around here.
Yeah, I think, the idea of taking them was fairly close to mid-race. I figure most people were going to take tires, and if you do that, you keep the best tires on it for, an average of the longest time. But again, I probably could have gone another 6 or 7 laps without pitting, and had I done that, I wouldn't have had to emerge in traffic. And that thought crossed my mind that, I'm in the front, I should just pit as late as possible so that I don't have anyone to repass in case they're on a different strategy. But I talked myself out of it and almost caught up almost got collected there.
Now, I think you'll stay in second place in the points, but you get quite a bit closer to Alex Albert after this win. I think this is a championship that really looks like it's going to go all the way down to the line. What can you do in the remaining races?
I'm just going to try and keep on sniffing around the podium. Any of the podium steps, if it's consistently without a big a big DNF or something, is going to keep me in the hunt for sure. So at this point, we've kind of built the foundation for it. I think it's just going to be about consistency here forward. It may mean occasionally, giving up a hard-fought spot to fight another day rather than risk a wreck.
Well, always awesome to see you here on the Sim. Where can people expect to see you driving out in the real world this year?
Well, that schedule's been adjusted a little bit. I hate to admit here that a couple weeks ago I actually had a wreck at Mid-Ohio in the Spec Miata, and the one I've been driving for the last couple of years is probably a write-off and totaled. So we're working on a replacement now, and once that's up and running, I'll have a better idea. But I do hope to be back on track this year, some of the NASA Great Lakes events, and certainly for the national championships at Mid-Ohio.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for making the time to have a chat with us. Congratulations on your race win here, and we'll see you in round 9, hopefully.
Thank you very much. And I shouldn't neglect mentioning some of the other, hopefully some of the upcoming events in the Real World ChampCar Series as well. At very minimum will attend and maybe drive a stint or two here in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that also.
Awesome. There we go. John D. Allen, your race winner in round 9. And Aaron, you are going to have a chat with the second place man, Alex Albert.
I do have Alex Albert. Alex, you are a regular on the HBC Broadcast Network. We talk to you quite often as you are a top performer, and no matter what series you are racing. So, congratulations on a P2 tonight, sir. Another fantastic battle we really enjoyed between you and John D. Allen. But my goodness, turn 3 was just biting you all night.
Yeah, just a few too many mistakes tonight. Had that off in Moss early on, and then allowed John to get around me. Was able to run pretty well after that, and then had a mistake in turn 1 or turn 2, went off pretty big, and yeah, turn 3 probably went off there 3 times. So just really struggling tonight, but glad I was able to bring it home second, even with a bad race.
Alex, you were definitely quick out there outside of those incidents, and talk us about what it was like once that track got dark. There is no artificial illumination around here. You are at the mercy of those DOT headlights on this Mazda Miata. How difficult was it to hit some of your braking markers and finding some of your apexes once that sun went down?
Yeah, it definitely added to the challenge, especially there in turn 3, just the way that the camber of the road is and everything. It was kind of hard to see the track where the exit of the corner is, and I misjudged it a few times. It definitely helped to be running together with someone. It's a lot brighter then, but yeah, once you got by yourself, it was pretty dark.
Now, Alex, with these races, the limited fuel at the start and then however much fuel you ever want, was fuel conservation or fuel strategy important here? It was just, as you mentioned, just making sure you had yourself a drafting buddy to remain competitive at this track.
Yeah, I was cognizant of the fuel strategy part of it. Early in the race, whenever John was drafting off me, I was trying to do some calculations on how many laps I wanted to go to see if the two of us could break away and then maybe swap positions, because I didn't want him to save too much and then have a shorter stop. Luckily, the pit crew did really well tonight. Closed up a gap. It was maybe 5 or 6 seconds before the stops, and we came out, within 2 seconds of the lead. So, got to thank the guys that go over the wall for me.
Well, Alex, again, you sound a little disappointed with that P2. We really enjoyed your very strong drive tonight, and we continue to really, really enjoy the battle between you and John D. Allen. So fantastic showing for you in round 8, sir, and congratulations on a P2 tonight.
Thanks again. Thanks for all you guys do, putting on these races, the broadcast. It really adds something to it, and I also want to thank ChampCar for their generous prizes. And so, yep, I'll see you guys next week.
You bet. David, we always appreciate a good interview from Alex Albert, but it looks like you have got our P3 finisher tonight, Ross Banfield.
Yeah, indeed. I do have Ross Banfield last step on the podium, and boy, did you have to fight for it.
Oh yeah, tooth and nail, like every inch. It was a battle, and it always felt like when I finally got someone and I had some clear air, someone else caught up from us fighting. So there's always a battle going.
Now, I'm not sure if the staff of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park actually have to employ anyone to mow the grass, because it seems like between you, Justin Hall, Mitchell Peake, and everyone else, you were doing plenty of it yourselves.
Yeah, especially going into turn 1, we found that it's just safer if you're going to go too wide to just have the chance and run a little wide than risk, clipping bumpers. Like unfortunately happened to me with Crawford. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but unfortunately hooked him in the beginning, and I couldn't do anything.
Well, you're doing pretty well in the points standings, and third place isn't bad there either. Obviously, winners get the biggest prizes, but how well do you think you can do in this season? Because definitely a top 3, I don't think is out of the question for you.
Yeah, I'll try my best. I'm pretty busy with work-life balance, so I'll definitely start dedicating a little more time on the second half. This isn't one of my main cars, but it's definitely a fun car and it's a good series, so I'll definitely start putting a little more effort into it and see if I can, maybe get a P2, but just stay in the top 3 at least.
And what's it like? I mean, really, almost the entire 1 hour of the race, you were involved in some kind of battle. How does that drain your concentration? I mean, surely almost every time down the Andretti straight, you must have been either looking at someone's rear bumper in front of you or looking in the mirrors at some headlights.
Yeah, it's getting kind of sweaty towards the end just because of the concentration, and it was pretty brutal. Just the first half, I didn't pay attention to my tires, and I was just fighting everyone left and right. And then I noticed I was losing like a second, 2 seconds a lap. And when I got my second pair, I took it easy and saved it for the end, which you saw when I really kind of turned up the heat.
Well, once again, going to congratulate you on that 3rd place finish. While you're on our broadcast here with HJBC, any shout outs, any thanks you'd like to give to anyone but Shane Norton?
Yeah, just a shout out to the V Apex guys. They're a great group. Hopefully, we can get some more participation out of them in the coming weeks. And other than that, just a shout out to the boys at work. And that's about it.
Were you aware that you were on the thumbnail for tonight's broadcast?
I saw it. I don't know why. I was a little confused.
I looked at a replay of a previous race and decided, yep, you do. I think you led one of the laps at Charlotte.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now. I was like, I didn't win the last race, so I was like, why is my thumbnail on there?
Yeah, well, might give someone else the privilege for next one. But thanks so much for dropping in, having a chat with us. Really appreciate it. Go well, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thanks. Have a good one, guys.
Well, there we are. Our podium from this round 8 of ChampCar Sim Series. And what a race it was. Lots of action, start to finish. Amazing. And it just brings our title fight even closer, which is amazing at this stage of the season. Join us, hopefully. Well, I don't know if we'll actually be able to put together a broadcast of the next championship round, ChampCar Sim Series, but that is on July 10, and it's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So certainly it'll be contested, and we'll see whether we have a broadcast of that one. But our next broadcast here on HJBC is going to be the finale of Reddit iRacing League Season 25. And that one is the street stock at Concord Motor Speedway. So that'll be an interesting one to watch there as well. Join us for that one on Sunday night. I've been David Haynes. Alongside me has been Aaron Thacker, our production man, Michael Derby. Thanks so much to him. Not possible without him. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast and you'll tune in again soon. Good night.